If you'll open up to Mark chapter 14. Mark chapter 14. We're going to be looking at verses 27 through 52. Mark chapter 14, verses 27 through 52. And a message I've entitled, Bitter Disappointment. How many of you read the passage in preparation for today? A couple? Okay, good. So this is pretty disappointing that we're going to be reading about today. So there's a story from former heavyweight boxer James Quick Tillis. He's a cowboy from Oklahoma who fought out of Chicago in the early 1980s. He still remembers his first day in the Windy City after his arrival from Tulsa. He says, I got off the bus with 2 cardboard suitcases under my arms in downtown Chicago and stopped in front of the Sears Tower. I put my suitcases down and I looked up at the tower and I said to myself, I'm going to conquer Chicago. And when I looked down, my suitcases were gone. Have you ever had a day where nothing seemed to go right for you? I mean, just what a rotten, no good, horrible, no good, very bad day. You ever have a day like that? You just wake up and you just know you might as well just stay in bed today. Because it ain't going to be worth the time, the effort, or the energy to get up out of bed. And no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to go right. I seem to have those days most frequently when I'm doing my closing nights at work. No matter how hard I try, I feel like I'm going 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Eli, I'm glad to see you here this morning. We had a very busy night last night because our dairy case died. Why? You ever just wonder yourself, why does this stuff have to happen? I've closed 3 nights in a row. I got to last night, I'm thinking to myself, oh good, I got Eli with me. Okay, everything's going to be fine tonight. Let's just get through, guys. We'll get out of here quick. No, the dairy case dies. We ended up pulling everything out of that cooler. People were asking if we were even selling milk anymore because we had to pull it all out of the cooler. Just one of those nights. There was another guy that had a night like that, and I bet he'd have traded with me because it was so bad for him. Sometimes we get all down on ourselves because, boy, I had a bad night last night. We had to pull that dairy cooler. Boy, that really is terrible. That really was awful. That's no fun. There was a guy who had a much worse night than that. And if I probably would have just stepped back, I probably would have had a better night if I'd have reminded myself, Jesus had a really bad night once. And this isn't even his worst night. He had an even worse night than this. And this we think of as bitterly disappointing. We just got done celebrating Passover. Last week we talked about Jesus, his Passover he had with the disciples. Probably a joyous time. But that same night, just when things start to look like they're going to go up, that's kind of how I felt about 6 o'clock last night. I'm getting through things. I was tired, but man, I was getting through things. I feel like maybe we will have a great night tonight. Doesn't end that way, does it? No matter how hard you try, no matter what you try to do, it's just going to get from bad to worse. Jesus just got done celebrating Passover with his disciples, and he says, one of you guys is going to betray me. They share a meal together, a very intimate thing back in those days. Even for us today, when we share a meal with somebody, that's pretty cool. Height of treachery, though, when you share a meal with somebody and they turn around and stab you in the back. Boy, there's really nothing worse than that. That is it. You're the bottom of the barrel. And our friend Judas is going to do just that here by the end of the night. Let's read this story, verses 27 through 52. God wants you to see the disappointments of Jesus' last night. There's 3 disappointments that are going to happen to Jesus. And as we read this, see if you can find them. Verse 27, Then Jesus said to them, All of you will be made to stumble because of me this night, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd and will scatter, and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have been raised, I will go before you to Galilee. Peter said to him, Even if all are made to stumble, yet I will not be. Jesus said to him, Assuredly I say to you, that today, even this night, before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. But he spoke more vehemently, If I have to die with you, I will not deny you. And they all said likewise. Then they came to a place which was named Gethsemane. And he said to his disciples, Sit here while I pray. And he took Peter, James, and John with him, and he began to be troubled and deeply distressed. And he said to them, My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch. He went a little further and fell on the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. And he came and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, Simon, are you sleeping? Could you not watch 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Again he went away and prayed, and spoke the same words. And when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. Then he came a 3rd time, and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? It is enough. The hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. Immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, with a great multitude with swords and clubs, came from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. Now his betrayer had given them a signal, saying, Whomever I kiss, he is the one. Seize him and lead him away safely. As soon as he had come, immediately he went up to him and kissed him. Rabbi, Rabbi. Then they laid their hands on him and took him. And one of those who stood by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then Jesus answered and said to them, Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to take me? I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me. But the scriptures must be fulfilled. And they all forsook him and fled. Now a certain young man followed him, having a linen cloth thrown around his naked body. And the young men laid hold of him. And he left the linen cloth and fled from them naked. These 3 disappointments that happened this very night to Jesus. First one, verses 27 through 31, Peter denies. Verses 32 through 42, the disciples doze. And then 43 through 52, Judas deceives. Bitter disappointment indeed for Jesus tonight. Let's start to look at this, verse 27. So we get done with the Passover meal. They went out to the Mount of Olives. They sung a song, and Jesus says to them, All of you will be made to stumble because of me this night. For it is written, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But after that I will have been raised, I will go before you to Galilee. So Jesus understands what's going to happen with his disciples as this impending time of his betrayal comes. He says, all of you are going to run. And Peter says to him in verse 29, Even if all are made to stumble, yet I will not be. Or there's always one in the crowd that thinks that they're a little bit better than the rest, huh? Peter thought that he had it all figured out. He wasn't going to deny Jesus. He's not going to do anything like that. What do you think Jesus is thinking at this time? Jesus just got done saying, you're all going to deny me. Oh, no, I'll never deny you. I'll never do that. Yes, you will, Peter. Peter, I'm telling you right now, as sure as the sun's going to rise the next morning, you are going to deny me. How many of us have some explosive time with the Lord? Maybe we got done with a camp. Maybe we had to listen to a really good sermon. Maybe something happened to a family member. Maybe somebody got healed somehow, or maybe you got a really good diagnosis. You were expecting something really bad to happen, but you actually found out you were in remission, or something like you got some really good news and you are feeling on cloud nine. Nothing is going to take away your sunshine today. I am never going to deny Jesus again as long as I live. He is my healer and redeemer, and you're just singing his praises. You know what? Sometimes those are the worst places to be. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? The higher up on the mountain you think that you are, the faster it is you're going to fall, and the further you're going to fall. Peter probably thought they just got done with this great meal, Passover with Jesus. This has got to be the pinnacle of existence. To be a Jew, to celebrate the Passover with the Messiah. Does life get any better than this? I am never going to forsake you. He knew he was in that inner circle with Jesus. He's the one who was there when Jesus raised that little girl. He was there at the mountain when Jesus was transfigured. Peter knew he's one of the inner circle. You know when you're one of the inner circle. I am never going to deny you. I am going to be with you always. And Jesus says, assuredly I say to you tonight, even this night before the rooster crows 2 times, you will deny me 3 times. But he spoke more vehemently. You don't understand. You ever talk to young people? And you try to say, I'm not so sure that's a really good idea that you should do that. I don't know if you should go there. I don't know if you should get married. I don't know if you should do this. And I don't know if you... And they just go, you don't understand. And they just get more vehement with you. You don't understand. That's what Peter is doing with Jesus at this point. You know Jesus, you don't understand. He's going to speak more vehemently, more passionately, more emotionally. Jesus, you don't understand. If I have to die with you, I will not deny you. And notice, even though Peter is the one that speaks up and is the most boisterous, we'll say, he's the one that walked on the water, remember? Even though he sometimes is the spokesman for the group, how many of them are in agreement with Peter that they will never leave his side? And they all said likewise. We all have this tendency to think that we'll never let Jesus down. We have this tendency to think that we're always going to be superhuman, that life's always going to be good, and life provides no disappointments. You guys, even our Lord Jesus suffered some bitter disappointment on this night. He knows that even his most ardent supporter, namely Peter, is going to deny him when he needed him the most. Then they come to the garden. They came to the place which was called Gethsemane. And we can sing that song. We're all reminded of the garden. It's a good song, isn't it, Shirley? We're reminded of the garden. And here we are in the garden, understanding that Jesus is encountering some very bitter disappointments in life. He comes to Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. That's all he wanted. He's not asking them to build a rocket ship to the moon. He's not asking them to evangelize the whole world or anything like that. Nothing too terribly difficult. He says, sit while I pray. Sometimes what the Lord asks us to do are so simple. And yet even the most simplest requests that the Lord asks us to do, we struggle. He asked them to just sit here while I pray. Just sit. Now, how'd they do? Not too good. Can you think of times in your life where Jesus has asked you to do something? Doesn't have to be hard. Doesn't have to be mind-blowing. It doesn't have to be earth-shaking. Doesn't have to be revolutionary in its scope. Just think of a time, when did Jesus ask you to do something? Like, sit here while I pray. Did you do it? Were you faithful in the little things? Remember, Jesus is going to go on to say in another place that we need to be faithful with the little things. This was probably a little thing. Just sit here while I pray. And how many of us are faithful with even these little things? Sometimes we want to be the kind of people that are in charge of big things, and we want to have lots of money, and we want to be influential. You know how many people want to be like Instagram influencers now, and we want to have all this power and prestige, and we want to be a part of something big. We like big things. Jesus says, you got to be faithful in the little things before I make you faithful with the big things. Sit here while I pray. Little thing. How'd they do? He took Peter, James, and John with him, and he began to be troubled and deeply distressed. I can't imagine why. What do you suppose he's got to be so anxious about? The Bible says be anxious for nothing, and here Jesus is deeply distressed. So I guess it's okay to be deeply distressed. What is he so distressed about? His betrayer's at hand. He's about to be taken away by sinners. He's about to be scourged, beaten. He's about to be whipped. The Bible says that his beard is going to be pulled out. And he knows it's coming. He knows it's coming. He's not dumb. He knows it's coming. So yeah, I guess he's probably pretty deeply distressed. You ever have something you need to do, someplace you need to go? Maybe you need to go down to the post office and you're like, boy, I just hate going to the post office. Or maybe you need to go to the Social Security Administration building and you're like, boy, I just hate all the people in there. You got to go somewhere. Maybe you got to go to the grocery store and you're like, boy, those prices are just too high anymore and I just don't like going to the grocery store anymore. There's things that we have to do in life that we don't always like doing. Places we don't always like going. Phone calls we don't always like dialing. Jesus had a place to go too. And if he would have acted like so many of us act sometimes, it's hard telling where we'd be right now. But even in the midst of his distress, he didn't allow that distress to influence or dictate what he needed to do. And he said to them, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch. Twice. Sit here while I pray. Stay here and watch. Their Savior is under such intense pressure. The book of Luke tells us that he's going to sweat drops of blood. Have you ever sweat drops of blood from something before? I haven't. I've been through some pretty stressful situations in life. I've never sweat drops of blood. I can imagine what he's going through. And he says to his disciples, this is twice now, just sit here with me. Sit here while I pray. Stay here and watch. Sometimes you just need a friend. Sometimes you just need somebody to go through life with you. You ever go through something alone? You have a big decision you have to make and you're all alone? Someplace you have to go that you don't want to go and you're all alone? Decisions, phone calls, places to go, people to see, and you got to go all alone? Jesus didn't want to be all alone. He brought Peter, James, and John, his inner three. These are his buds. Sit here and stay with me. He went a little further and fell to the ground and prayed as if it were possible that the hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. And we're so familiar with this verse, aren't we? Take this cup away from me, nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. Have you ever prayed that before? I know I've prayed that before. Lord, I don't want to do this. I don't want no part of this. I don't want to go there, and I don't want to do this. But nevertheless, not as I will, but you will. And I put my shoes on. You know what I'm saying? He came and he found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, Simon, are you sleeping? Could you not watch 1 hour? How many of you are night owls? No night owls? Nobody? Not even you, Maggie? Not a night owl? Nothing? No? Wow. Okay. I am not a night owl either, so good. I didn't want to. I'm the kind of person I like to go to. If I could, I'd go to bed at like 7. Who laughed at that? Just because I'm getting old doesn't mean that you can laugh at me. I'd go to bed at like 7 if I could. I have a tough time staying up till like 10. 11 if you're lucky. I don't remember the last time I saw the ball drop for New Year's Day. I can't stay up that late. It's tough for me. I'm getting old. It's really, really hard. I don't know how some of the rest of you guys do it. Why do I bring that up? Because the hour is very, very late. Before we make fun of Peter for sleeping, ask yourself, what's the latest you've stayed up lately? 10, 11 o'clock and you're out? Can you imagine being up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning? How easy would it be for you to fall asleep on a bed of gravel? I could probably fall asleep on gravel at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Before we make too much fun of Peter, I'm not so sure Peter was a night owl either. He was sleeping. Simon, are you sleeping? Could you not watch 1 hour? The disappointment in the voice of Jesus. Can you hear it? Simon, I need you. What are you doing? I need your help. This is going to be some of the hardest hours of my life over the next little bit here. And you're sleeping. Man, you're killing me here. Well, maybe that's not, because that's what's going to end up happening. But Peter, work with me a little bit here. Watch and pray. Again, he's asking him to watch. That's 3 times now. Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Is Jesus giving Peter a little warning here? Have you connected these dots? He just got done telling Peter not too long ago, before they got into the garden, that Peter, you're going to deny me. And Peter says, oh no, that'll never happen. I'll die with you before that happens. They get to the garden. Peter falls asleep, can't handle it. And Jesus says to him, watch and pray. Watch and pray. Because remember, Peter, I just got done warning that you're going to deny me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray, Peter. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. How easy is it for you to fall into some kind of temptation? Well, in the flesh, pretty easy. How important is it for us to be walking in the Spirit? If you're not walking in the Spirit, if this isn't something that's a priority for you to be walking in the Spirit, you are going to fall and fall repeatedly. And Peter is being given this warning by Jesus in the garden about what's going to happen. Did you notice the love that Jesus has even for Peter, even at this late hour? He loves him so much, he's trying to help him and guide him and teach him on something like this, even right up until the very bitter end. Again, he went away and prayed and spoke the same words, and he returned and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. Because they're going to have this conversation over and over again. Are you guys still sleeping? And they're going to say, yeah. Then the third time came, and he said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? All right, I'm done with this. Jesus says, we're done here. The hour has come. Behold, the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. He's just done. Kind of like when you're talking to your kids. They're fighting, and you're like, all right, guys, I'm just done. We're just going to go do something else now. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. So we've seen how Peter denies Jesus and it disappoints him. The disciples are dozing and it disappoints Jesus. And now here in verses 43 through 52, that Judas is now going to deceive Jesus, and that's also going to disappoint him. And immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, with a great multitude with swords and clubs, so they came ready to fight. They didn't come secretly or under guise. They didn't just come in like plain clothes, ununiformed officers or something like that. They came ready for a fight. They have their swords. They have their clubs. This was pre-planned. This was premeditated. This was deliberate. Judas had gone out from that Passover supper. He went and he found the scribes, the chief priests. They made their backroom deal for 30 pieces of silver. And he says, I know where to find him and I know when to find him. Let's go do it. We'll do it right now. They said, deal. They gathered up their stuff. They got their clubs. They got their swords. They got whatever else they think they were going to need or want. And they went out. They came to the garden. He figured that's where they were going to be. And he was right. His betrayer had given them the signal, saying, whomever I kiss, he's the one. Seize him and lead him away safely. They had this all figured out. Because the flesh is weak. And Judas allowed his flesh to get the better of him. As soon as he had come, immediately he went up to him and said to him, Rabbi, Rabbi, and kissed him. It was over. Judas had deceived Jesus, the Son of God. And in that moment, we're told in another place that it was Peter who took out his sword. For some reason he had a sword. I don't know how he would sleep with a sword attached to his hip, but he had a sword on him. He pulls out his sword and he strikes the ear off of one of these guys. Remember reading that? It was Peter that had done this. And Jesus in another place in Matthew says that he could call down 10,000 legions of angels to protect him in that very moment. But he did not. Because he knew that this was the will of the Father. And whatever the Father wants him to do, he is going to follow through with it. And calling down 10,000 legion of angels isn't going to fix, help, or change anything. And whatever is going to happen, the Father has allowed it, and Jesus is going to go through it. And he's not going to buckle under the pressure. He's not going to try to change something to make it easier, like so many of us like to do. We want the easy way out. We want the burden to be on somebody else. We want to shift the responsibility. We just want to have an easy peasy kind of life. We don't like the disappointments. We don't like the heartaches. We don't like the tough times. We like it when it's nice and easy, just the way we want it, just the way we had been dreaming about it. And Jesus says, have you come against a robber with swords and clubs to take me? In other words, who do you think that I am? I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me. He says, you know that I'm not a robber. I've been teaching you guys. I've been faithful to you guys. I have done everything I possibly could have for you guys. I've been healing you. I've been treating you. I've been taking care of you. I've loved you. I've had compassion on you. I've fed you. What more could I possibly have done for you guys? Yet, here we are. Have you ever tried to do something for somebody and they just don't listen? They just keep on going? Jesus says, I tried with you guys. I was daily with you in the temple teaching you, working with you, helping you, healing your sick. And you could have taken me at any point you wanted to. If I was such a big threat to you, you could have taken me at any point you wanted to, but you wait till now. The scriptures must be fulfilled. What a night of disappointment in the life of Jesus, right before, leading up into the point where Judas Iscariot, the traitor, the Bible calls him a traitor. Judas Iscariot, the traitor, betrays the Son of God into the hands of sinners. And curiously enough, we have this verses 51 and 52. You ever wonder why the Bible adds these little addendums like this sometimes? These just little curious little like who is this and why are we adding this on to here? Most people believe that this naked guy, this is so strange, is probably Mark, the author. Who the rationale for this is who would have added such a unique and fuzzy, almost embarrassing detail unless it was the author himself. Now, a certain young man followed him, having linen cloth thrown around his naked body, and young men laid hold of him, and he left the cloth and fled from them naked. Everybody, even the naked boy, he was naked. Every one of them fled, even the naked one. Every single person, when Jesus was betrayed into the hands of sinners, every single person got out of town. Did you know that includes you and me? How many of you would say, if I was there, I would have stayed? Get me up there. I'll let them have it. Don't you understand? I would have stayed. How many of you feel that way? Who's willing to say, I would have stayed? When Judas, the traitor, betrayed the Son of God into the hands of sinners, how many of us would say, I would have stayed? If you have one inkling of thought in your brain that you would have stayed, you're a liar. Every one of them, even Peter, the spokesman, vehemently arguing with Jesus. Yet, Lord, I will never leave you. I will die with you before they get rid of me. Every one of them ran and fled and got out of there when Jesus was taken. And you would have too. Think about it. You would have too. And so would have I. It's our sin that did this to him, and that will eventually put him on the cross. It's our sin of abandoning him. It's our sin of betraying him that's going to end up putting him on that cross. And there's not a single one of us who'd have done this any differently. In fact, under given circumstances, any one of us is at least as wrong and as bad as a Judas. Would you think I was going to say Peter? You're probably hoping I was going to say Peter, but I said Judas. Every one of us has let Jesus down in this same disappointing sort of way. Every one of us. There are times in our lives when we let Jesus down just like this. Sure, it's fun to read through this and say, boy, Peter, that numbskull, what's wrong with him? He's always acting up. He's always trying to be the loud one. He's always trying to be the spokesman, and he's always the one who ends up sinking through the water. He's always the one that stands up, oh, we should make a tent for Moses and Elijah. And Jesus gets away with that, and I would never leave you, and he's the first one to run out of there. I'll never deny you, and the rooster crows. You think you're any different? Every one of us has allowed ourselves to let Jesus down. I don't know, worse than this, even sometimes. And what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Keep living your life same as it was. This ain't going to change me. Confronted with the truth that we let Jesus down like this and we bitterly disappoint him, worse than probably Peter's denial, maybe even worse than the disciples dozing, and maybe even worse than the deception of Judas himself. We have let Jesus down, sometimes even worse than these ways. What are you going to do about it? I'm excited to hear from everybody this week. What are you going to do about it? Because the Spirit is willing. The Spirit is willing that we don't do this to Jesus. The Spirit is willing that we live for him. The Spirit is willing that we would walk in the Spirit. The Spirit is willing that you would have life. The Spirit is willing that you would stand up and proclaim the name of Jesus even to kings. What's the problem? The flesh is weak. Are you going to walk in the flesh? Or are you going to walk in the Spirit? Way too often we're walking in the flesh, and we think that's somehow good enough, and we won't disappoint Jesus. He'll be all right. Something about it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission was how we like to live our lives sometimes. And guys, that's backwards. I'm sorry. If we're really walking in the Spirit, we're really pleasing Jesus, there shouldn't be anything to be asking for forgiveness for anyway. Don't let Jesus down this week, guys. Don't let him down. Live for him this week. And we'll see Jesus face the Sanhedrin next week. Let's pray.